What's up guys, Starts Yugioh here. So today I'll be doing my 2000 sub special. So thanks to you all for 2000 subscribers, that's quite a big number. I really appreciate all of you, and yeah. Though I've been kind of complaining recently about my channel not growing that fast, I still appreciate reaching such a massive milestone and couldn't have done it without you guys. So thanks a lot for subscribing my channel, believing in my content basically, and let's reach bigger goals in the future together. So as a thank you for reaching this milestone, today I will be doing a Q&A, questions and answers. So I made a community post and a video asking for questions, and today I will be answering said questions. One thing I have to preface, this video will be long, so I will be doing the questions on the screen, so you can just scroll through it if certain questions don't interest you personally. And yeah, keep in mind that some of your names are hard to pronounce. If I butcher any of them, I do apologize in advance. So the first question was by Tyler Lafferty. How did you get into Yu-Gi-Oh? So first of all, I got into the original game originally, like when I was young. I got into it because of finding random cards on the ground at school. Yes, it actually was a thing. People used to play this game where they threw cards at the wall, and one to end up being the closest, won them both or something like that. I think that were the rules. That's why there are a lot of cards on the ground that people just didn't care about. And of course the original television broadcast of the anime Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters helped a lot in that too. Later down the line, how I really got into Yu-Gi-Oh!, how I started really playing it, besides not being mainstream, was during somewhere in the middle of the 5Ds era. I played Yu-Gi-Oh! 2009 and 2010 DS games. I was bored in a few days. I had one of those pirated chips for the DS that could download any games. So I figured, yeah, why not try some of them. Downloaded the newest Yu-Gi-Oh! Games, 2009, 2010 at the time. And I really liked them. Besides me not really liking Yu-Gi-Oh! Before, so I was like, yeah, I actually want to watch the anime connected to this. So like a year later I started watching 5Ds, really liked it, and then I actually got into the game. So next question is, what keeps you interested in the game? Nostalgia, gameplay, card design, or community? I think it's basically all nostalgia, mostly nostalgia, which you can also see in a lot of my decks. And the gameplay of the game is honestly quite awful. Everything is decided in the first turn. Hand traps also kinda turned that to an extreme. A lot of decks have also lost their identity. The same generic boards and combos are almost played in every deck nowadays. So it's definitely not the gameplay side. Card design, I mean, yeah, there are some cool designs and unique effects. Art-wise though, it's inferior to other card games. I mean, look at Vanguard. Cardfight Vanguard, it just looks way better than Yu-Gi-Oh! For the community, I would never ever recommend Yu-Gi-Oh! It's, in general, a really toxic community, especially online. Most of the locals I've went to have had a chill community, however, but still a lot of toxicity exists in the community, especially online. It's something you really notice. A good example of this is elitism, something that you encounter a lot. So definitely don't play it because of the community. I think for me personally, the creativity is one of the big reasons. Just being able to build my own decks. There's a lot of cards in the game that you can build decks with. It's the one thing that Yu-Gi-Oh! Really stands out with, which I like. And his final question is, what are your main goals with the channel? Honestly, kind of shifted towards a part-time job in the future. Like, basically, once I'm done with my study, it would be nice to just do a part-time job and YouTubing. Like, that combo would be really nice. Full-time YouTubing just isn't realistic. It's possible, but you need to be one of the biggest channels, and yeah, that's just not gonna happen. But I really desire to make Yu-Gi-Oh! YouTubing a part-time job for myself. It'd be really nice. So basically it's money. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I've always been honest about this. I'm mostly doing YouTubing for the money. Now you can get upset, you can say it's not the right thing to do, but it's a decision I made in my life, and you know, it's not like I'm a sellout. It's just, I mean, you need to, at the end of the day, you need to make money to stay alive, basically, and being able to do so while making YouTube videos, Yu-Gi-Oh! Videos would be awesome. And yeah, this is something I've always been honest about. As for goals in growth, maybe, 5k subs this year and 10k subs the year after, 2021. Closing that year off with 10k subs would be nice. But considering the current pace of growth, sadly not really realistic. Thanks for always creating such entertaining and creative content. You're doing great things, and thanks for that. Congratulations. I really appreciate it. I really do. Thanks. So next up is Ali Al-Khatib. I hope I didn't totally butcher that name. Sorry if I did. Am I allowed to make more than one question for this? Yes, that was stated in the rules. I wrote down. What's your least favorite archetype? Honestly, my least favorite archetype in the game at the moment is Melfi. Melfi, I don't know how to pronounce it. The art is really, really ugly art. It's probably the most ugly art we've gotten in years. At least Ojama have some kind of ironic niceness to them because they're ugly, you know, but Melfi, they just look awful. I don't know how this got through anything like called quality check at Konami's site. It stands out like an eyesore. It just looks wrong. It shouldn't be in Yugioh. It just looks awful. The monsters themselves are really useless. They're honestly just annoying, a nuisance. They're not even good. They're just annoying, and that's what I don't like. And so, waste of a slot in a set. It's good to have used the set better. I mean, it was the first set of the new Master Rule. It would be nice to see cool new synchro support, exceed support, decks that suffered for 4 years or something. Instead we got this bullshit. So yeah, screw Melfi, I hate them. Most favorite archetype, aside from Eternity, because that would have been obvious, yeah. TG, Tech Genus, the deck used by Bruno Antinomi from Yugioh 5Ds. I already played it here and there before we even got to support last year with stuff like Star Guardian. And I think it's honestly the most enjoyable synchro deck that there is at the moment, considering, you know, Infinity isn't even really synchro based anyway. It makes really cool big boards with nice cool boss monsters without unnecessarily long combos, and just does really cool art and design in general. Most under-supported archetype that you want to see modernized or something like that. Morphtronics. They have a cool gimmick and they have some strong cards like Cell Phone. But you know, they have kind of been abandoned. They sadly lost the poll because, well, Cyber Dragons really needed another structure. Thanks, guys. So I hope they still get great support and not just one singular card like they've been doing with stuff like Arcana Force recently. I hope they get a good, proper wave of support. They really deserve it. Next up is Pocket Productions. This is a funny way to ask, but I don't watch much anime, and I honestly kind of want to know what your emblem for YouTube channel is from. Oh yeah, and congrats dude, your channel is awesome. Stay strong, man. First of all, thanks, appreciate it. So my avatar is from Danganronpa. It's a really great game series, specifically from the first part. Trigger Havoc. The character is Junko Enoshima. She is kinda infamous and famous at the same time. A lot of people know her. She's the ultimate fashionista. And yeah, it's from a video game, not an anime. There's an anime adaptation for the game, but many people don't really like it, and it's better as a game. And it's a really good game in general, Danganronpa. I can recommend the series to anyone, basically. If you're ever bored, consider checking out the Danganronpa game series. It's really, really great. I can definitely recommend it. So next we have Seth Crawford. If you could give Infinity support to be able to be a fun rogue strategy, what kind of cards would the archetype need? I mean, honestly, they already are able to approach rogue as it is. It just kind of depends on the format. Around the last YCS Utrecht, it was impossible for them to compete due to Troll and Lockbird being main decked in a lot of decks. But now we just mostly lack good deck builders and pilots for the deck. If people actually bothered to optimize Infinity and play it, I think there's some chance of contending with the meta. And the new support is already coming up. For this Friday they will announce new support for the Infinity deck. So anyways, if I were able to give them support or, you know, have a decision in it, I think one of the things I need is a better synchro boss. Preferably a level 8 synchro boss. To keep, for example, your Infinity barriers live, while not just awkwardly keeping an Infinity Archfield on the field. Ideally, something like a cannot be tributed class on it would be needed, so that's 20, kaijus exist, and maybe some form of negation, and make it have Infinity in the name, unlike Void Ogre Dragon, which is already a decent boss, but it's not an Infinity monster, which is kind of troublesome. It would also be nice to have some ways to start plays. Infinities on their own cannot really be played as a deck, they lack consistency. So the next one, and I'm definitely gonna butcher this name, sorry in advance, Selim Oguzhan Bakir. What do you think about people that actually pay hundreds of dollars to a Yu-Gi-Oh card that aren't even rich or anything? Well, honestly, it's your life, your money, your choices. But I honestly think it's dumb. Price support for this game is absolute trash. If you consider traveling costs, fuel, food, you rarely ever have a chance of making profit if going to an event, even if you get first place. You just lose out going there. And with reprints and random ban lists that drop whenever, investing in a deck is rarely a safe investment either, because you paid all this money for Dragon Rules, well, they're now all banned, so say goodbye to your money. You have this very nice card, yeah, here's a reprint in Super. Oh, your card's really not worth anything anymore. In my opinion, you're better off going to a casino to gamble your money. At least there's a chance of winning there, and you might actually have fun. Although, that's also very addicting, so can't really recommend going to a casino, but it's probably better than Yu-Gi-Oh! Since you have a chance of walking away as a winner. Although it's a very low chance, so really don't spend your money in a casino, but I'm just saying. Austin, have you considered making a modernized Dark Warrior Synchro deck? This deck has largely been unsolved since Bulb and Steam got banned. I'd like to see what you can come up with. Love your content, man. Keep up the good work. Thanks, appreciate your words. I don't think Bulb and Steam getting banned are the biggest issue for this deck at the moment. Armageddon Knight and Dark Grapher being at 1 with Malicious at 2 is slightly worse for the deck. And Infernoble Knight and Generic Flame Warrior support is just outright better now. So there's not really a reason to play it anymore. And I don't think it's an enjoyable strategy or way to play Synchro anyway, personally. I've never been a fan. Also, Destrillo was probably a big hit to this deck as well. If you want to see that kind of stuff, you're better off checking out 037 Wolf. For that type of deck, it's honestly his expertise. Michael Myers 2306. Have you ever been to a Yu-Gi-Oh! Local tournament, and if yes, what was it like for you? I've been to many locals over the years. Even when I was like 8-9 years old, many years ago I already went to locals, and well, before Corona I also went to locals. Then Corona came up, and I'm not taking the health risk of going there at the moment. I think it's not worth it to play a game of Yu-Gi-Oh! But yeah, I've been to many. Multiple locals all over the country over more than 10 years, so yeah. Honestly, the duels themselves often suck. They're not that enjoyable. Especially in recent years where it just got worse due to obnoxiously amounts of overpowered hand traps in almost every deck. You don't really get a chance to play at a casual level. I don't really play the top competitive decks. I've tried the Monarch around the time, but they were really bricky, so I didn't like them either. But people are always great. That's something I do like. Especially locals I usually visit now. Has a really great community, and it's always nice to be there. It's more like a gathering with friends than, you're really going to locals, if that makes sense. There used to be a great locals in the town I grew up in, but the OTS stopped being a Yu-Gi-Oh! OTS a few years ago due to some issues, which is sad. The games were actually fun there, and the players were really kind. And the OTS owner was really great too, so it's a real shame, honestly. Also, he was like the only OTS I ever knew that has that charges a fair price for their product. I mean, so many locals out there just scam customers that just ask ridiculous prices for their product. Like, it's insane. People always like to say, support your locals, but then the local does support you because they overcharge for their product. Like, what the hell? What's up with that? Also, fun fact, I almost became an OTS local tournament organizer myself. I actually got in touch with the local card game store. They were kind of looking for somebody, but I decided not to do it in the end. So, Cream Agbaria, I totally messed that name up, I'm pretty sure of that. So, how old are you? And when did you start playing Yu-Gi-Oh? By the way, keep up the amazing work. Thanks, you are way too kind. Anyways, I'm currently 22 years old. In 2 weeks I'll turn 23. I actually got into Yu-Gi-Oh! Early 2004, like March or something, I think. I never really remembered what date exactly, but after doing some research I found out it had to be early 2004. I was around 6-7 years old at the time, so Most of early Yu-Gi-Oh! I didn't witness too consciously, you know, I was just a kid. In the Netherlands, we didn't have Dutch cards, we had to play with English cards. I didn't know how to read English, so, you know, it was kind of interesting. It was honestly around 2010 when I actively got into Yu-Gi-Oh! When I really started playing it and started building my own decks, most importantly. And at that point, I was like 12 or 13 years old. I was a huge fan of Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. Specifically, Kalin, aka Kiryu, which you might see in, you know, my favorite deck being Infinity. So Phoenix Eye asked, do you have any nifty tricks for growing a YouTube channel? I know you are not the biggest name around, but your sub count is still very impressive for most small YouTubers. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I do have some tips. I could probably make a video on this entire topic, honestly. Main thing is to make sure people have a reason to watch you. Why should I watch you? Have something that stands out. Give people a reason to watch you over the big names like Simo or Team Samurai X1. For example, I might look like a generic replay channel on the surface, but the decks I tackle and the way I approach decks is unique, which still gives my channel a reason to exist. And this is something I actually see Phoenix Eye doing really well. His Pilgrimage series is a really interesting concept. And him summoning the top 10 hardest to summon boss monsters in his recent video was also very interesting and cool to see. So I definitely would recommend checking Phoenix Eye out. And that right here was a shout out. Those are very important for your channel as well. My channel honestly wouldn't be as big if it wasn't for Mega Capital G and Asian Eyes. Those guys have done a lot for my channel. Like seriously, a single shout out for Mega Capital G at times has led to over 100 subscribers in one day. It was insane. Asian Eyes, I don't really have a concrete number for him, but his features definitely helped me out a lot as well. They're both very great guys. So my tip is to grab your signature deck. So Phoenix Eye for you, that would be Six Samurai. Or honestly any deck you like. I mean, maybe Ojamas. I know you had a pretty nasty Ojama deck. Just submit some replays to those guys. They want to feature content to commentate over. You want exposure. I think you can make a fair deal, right? And I think the most important tip of all that I can give to you is have great thumbnails. Make sure they stand out, that they're unique, you don't just copy somebody else's style, and make sure they are readable. If people can't read your thumbnails, then why bother? I mean, people aren't going to click on it if they can't read it. People don't really click on your videos. They click on your thumbnail. If your thumbnail is bad, nobody will click on your video or watch your video. No matter how good or how bad your video is, a great thumbnail decides it all. Gianluca Camoni. Do you think that Hulk indirectly doomed the synchro mechanic with its sprint? No, I think that this one is on the combination of Link Cross and Mega Phantom Beast Aurora Dawn. I don't really think it's a Hulky Fibrax issue in the first place. I mean, without those, Hulky Fibrax ain't half that bad. And honestly, Hulky Fibrax was a necessary evil in the game to keep synchro decks playable. But now that we have Master Rule 5, I think it's time for it to go. But I don't think it permanently doomed synchros or anything. I think that's just Konami refusing to make synchros good or playable. That's just a Konami thing to do. It's not something that's the fault of Hulky Fibrax. Although we have a new savior in the form of Chaos Ruler. That boy is very good. What type of support cards, tuner, synchro monster, spell, etc. does the mechanic or one archetype focus around it need to be playable good? Example, a tuner that special summons itself and changes its level, or a spell that supports the mechanic. Well, if you look at the state of the game, whatever deck it is, must be able to set up a monster gate before the 5th summon. But it must also be able to play through other hand traps, and must create a board of at least 3 negates with those mentioned conditions. And those negates mostly need to be monster negates. With a 2 card or less combo. Considering how power creep the game is, you basically need to be able to go full combo just from your tuner and its original non-tuner. Synchro summoning with materials from your deck would probably help here. But I think synchro summoning inherently almost has no chance to be good as long as links exist. Links are simplified stronger synchro summoning, which is a big issue. Favorite Danganronpa character and game. For character I have one absolute favorite on top of everyone, and that's Mukuro Ikusawa. Don't Google that name if you never played Danganronpa before, her name alone is somewhat of a spoiler. Although it's not that bad if you don't know what game she is in the first place. As for favorite Danganronpa game, probably Trigger Happy Havoc. The characters are definitely the best out of the series, and it just had the best setting for a killing game if you ask me. And we have another name that we'll definitely butcher, Nachuk Munkui? I don't know how to pronounce that. I know you don't like playing competitively anymore, but what do you think about the new decks upcoming for the next months? Drachma, Datascape, or even playing the new Archetype cards as engines? Like Dragoon. Are they really going to change something in the meta? Yeah, I don't play competitively, but I usually keep my eyes on some of the tops at least. I think Infernoble Knights have near tier 0 potential. They were already very strong in the OCG despite Max C existing. We don't have that card here, which matters a lot. Look at Emancipators in the TCG vs the OCG. Datascape, I don't think it will even see play in a rogue deck. Like, Lynx are just too mandatory nowadays, they need to be ran in almost every deck. So even decks that could potentially run Datascape as an engine like Burning Abyss would rather just run Link monsters. Drachma is very solid. I underestimated it for sure, however it's only solid as an engine. I initially judged it as a deck on its own. It's a really strong deck mixed with Invoke that will probably be tier 1. Tri-Brigade also has a lot of potential. Mixed with Zoo, it will probably take that deck to the next level and make it a tier 2 deck. Fair to guess. The X-Saber and Fire Fist variants, for example, also have some potential, but we'll have to see what they do. As for the Dragoon, boy, that card will definitely define the meta here for sure, at least for a while, considering it will release at 3 copies in the TCG. We can only get the ban list after it's releasing, meaning it will be legal at 3 for a while. That will be fun. Especially with it being likely short printed. I mean, we have no official confirmation, but with them being no promos, good luck with pulling that card. The card and its engines will be really expensive. Depending on the upcoming ban list, which comes after the new tin, you might see only Dragoon decks for a while. And I also personally think people overestimate the power of the new number 1 deck engine. Yes, it's strong, but it's just Nootropic Zexal. Against decks like Eldritch, it's not even the end of the world, and there are ways to play around it. So I don't think number 1 deck will be that good. Blangle the Angel. How did you know the brand Danganronpa? Anime or games? What did you like of it? Character, story, games? I actually really was into survival and combat anime when Danganronpa originally got an anime. I really liked Mirai Nikki, Batum and Dead Man Wonderland back then. So I ended up watching it, and I kinda liked it. Many years later, during a summer sale on Steam, I saw a cheap bundle for the first 2 games on sale. I decided, why not try it out? And boom, I got hooked and finished all 3 games in like 3 weeks. Honestly, I just like everything about Danganronpa. The soundtrack, the story, the characters, the entire game, it just works. Jared just scored. What's your favorite archetype? Also preemptive congrats on 2K subs pro, as the video asking for questions was up before I actually had 2,000 subscribers. Thanks bro, appreciate it. And it's obviously Infinity. Tommy Lemau asked, what do you think 11037 means? I just can't figure it out. So I actually did some research for what this number means. It's actually a police code, which stands for fallen reptile, most commonly used if a dead snake is found. Lost Ward Azure. If you worked for Konami and were to pick archetypes for legacy support, which ones would you choose? A lot of them. But I'd say top 5 at the moment would be fair, or just 5 in general. It's not really a top 5 since I didn't order it. Heraldic Beasts, as they have a lot of potential, they just don't have any extra monsters to go into besides Time Thief Redoer at the moment. Sharks would be nice, the level 4 water stuff. It has some strong cards, it just needs a little push to be, really good. Gimmick Puppets still need and deserve some good support after losing out on their good ranked Magic a long while ago. Morphtronics have a really cool gimmick. Wish they would receive some new cards to help them exist. And finally, TG aka Tech Genus. Because it took away the strongest option, multiple Hyper Librarians. And they have the most potential out of any of the actual synchro decks in the game at the moment if you ask me. So the test shocker asked quite some questions, we'll be getting into that now. Can you try to ignore infinities when answering those? I know they are your favorites, so I was hoping you could say something else. But infinity is love. Infinity is life. What am I without infinity? Pick one archetype to be meta, one to get support, however not a good one like the Dark Lords, and one to never get support again. To be meta, I would personally roll with Witchcrafter. They're already pretty close to being meta anyway, they just need some more oomph, you know, something that makes them strong and playable. It could be a fun competitive control deck if you ask me. For the getting support part, for an archetype that's not really that great, I already mentioned Morphotronics twice before, so here I'm mentioning it again. But I also feel like Heraldic Beast would be very nice. They made me start liking Exceed monsters in the first place actually. I really like them, they just have like no options to go into at the moment. And for the deck to never get support again, that's very easy. Cyber Dragon. They butchered that archetype by taking away their original playing style. They're giving them way too much support over the past few years anyway, so it would be nice to see it stop. What archetypes you hope to be in the next structure deck poll? Here's a quick top 10, likely missing out on some, I will likely forget some decks, but let's say I can pick the next 10 options, these would be my choices. Resonators, Red Dragon Archfiend is number 10, I think they're an easy accessible synchro deck. Number 9 would be Amazonas, I think they're cool, they have cool art. They just lack something besides their strong fusion. And they're iconic from the anime anyway. Dangers could be a great option for number 8. Dangers are already strong, have an accessible way to get them all would be nice. There are some support for playing it purely, so they could print more support for it to be a pure deck, but also making it a cheap engine for everyone, so it would be a win-win situation. My number 7 would be Insectors. It was a past meta deck, there's everything back and it's not relevant at the moment. I think a lot of people will feel some nostalgia for it, and I just like their wall concept, so it would be nice to see it return in a structure deck with some new support. The entire deck is based around breaking boards, so I don't think people would mind another going second deck. My number 6 is Lightsworn. Now you could say Lightsworn already has a structure deck, and it is likely getting a structure deck R. Sure, but so do Cyber Dragons, and I was still up for the last poll. So I'd say it just gives Lightsworn another structure deck. They can easily access the meta, they can easily become meta. And it's a very accessible deck that's great for new players. When I returned to physical Yu-Gi-Oh! I actually bought 3 copies of the Lightsworn structure deck, had some cards, and had a blast playing that. So I think it's a great option for future players as well. My number 5 here would be Fortune Ladies. Fortune Ladies are cool, I'm a big Fortune Lady fan. It would be nice to have all the cards in one place, to have some new support, because they randomly got a synchro that also locked them. Well, synchro, their new calling spell locks them into synchros. So it would be nice to have more extra deck options, to have more synchros, maybe some good general spell trap support. Just make them a little bit more viable. My number 4 choice would be Shark. I mean, Zexal in general has seen like no love from Konami, what's up with that? I think Shark is something a lot of people would enjoy to play, it's a very iconic deck as well from the anime once again. So that's that as a selling point as well. And I would love to play the deck honestly. My number 3 is Gimmick Puppet. Gimmick Puppet needs support, I mentioned it before. Why not place it in a structure deck, right? Could be a cool way to give people an easy to access Exceeds deck. So my number 2 is Heraldic Beast actually. I talked about this before, but if there's one deck I really think needs support besides Morphotronics, it's Heraldic Beast. And in general, Exceed archetypes deserve more support, as Konami kinda forgot about them after Zexal. My number 1 is Blackwing. Despite me not being a fan of Blackwing, I acknowledge them as one of the strongest synchro options. They have a lot of cards already, a few of them are really expensive. So just having the entire deck in one simple structure deck would help out a lot of people. Crow in general is very marketable too. He was in 5Ds, one of the primary characters that stole the spotlight from Akiza, which I still hate him for. And his appearance in Arc 5. So he's a really known character. Blackwing is an iconic deck. I think it also would sell really well because of nostalgia. And it could easily be made into a somewhat meta deck. So I think that would be the best option. If you are to create an archetype, what would it be? Type, attribute, art, etc. And what would it be focused on like a mechanic? So I actually have an announcement to make right now. Due to this comment, I got an idea for a new fun new segment with Phoenix Eye. We will both design an archetype and face off on Dueling Book with them, so that will be fun. Anyways, the one I will likely use for the first match is something I would call Future High. It's basically a high school of the future. It will feature a lot of anime tropes and references. Basically, the school will have multiple branches focused on different areas, which are their own sub-archetypes. Every branch has its own summoning method assigned to it and its own gimmick that's usually an underutilized mechanic or gimmick. For example, a branch that focuses on time travel, with the boss, a Synchro, get an effect that banishes cards until the next turn. So you basically seal the card away until the next turn, until the future. Or a mecha section that is focused on upgrading a certain person. He's like the test subject and he goes through a lot of upgrades. Which would basically be a retrain of the original level series of monsters. There would just be multiple variants of him that level up into the next one. So each branch would also have its own attribute. There would also be Psychic, which is an undersupported and cool type of monster in my opinion. And being Psychic would make sense due to it be a futuristic archetype. There's a lot of room for anime tropes and references, which I think a lot of people will enjoy as well. Some people will deem it as cringy, but I don't care about such people. What do you think is going to be the new thing after Lynx? I honestly thought skill cards like in speed duels were going to be a thing in Master Duel 5. And I still think it's a good idea if executed well. Both because everyone would need them, so Konami has a way to push product again. And it would be a great way to support underpowered decks. Want to help an old deck like for example Amazonas, just create a skill card that searches an Amazonas monster from your deck. And it could lead to some nice anime tie-ins too. It would work for every level of the game. A casual player would enjoy those, a collector would enjoy them, but also competitive players would need them. But since no such thing happened with Master Duel 5, maybe we'll get something like this as the next Master Duel. Although I wouldn't be surprised if it just got no further changes. What format was your favorite? For example, Dragon Rulers, Teledat, etc. Edison format. It is very awesome. I definitely recommend it to anyone that never tried it. It's basically peak Synchro 5Ds format. Anyone else in your family interested in Yu-Gi-Oh? For me, it's only 2 of my cousins, and we basically forced our female cousin to play Yu-Gi-Oh with us. She wasn't a big fan. I got into Yu-Gi-Oh because of my brother actually when I was young, but a lot of private stuff happened and I don't talk to him anymore due to multiple reasons. To a top 10 of your least favorite decks that you hate to play against or just dislike for some reason. If you don't want to rank them, just name 10. I will make a quick top 10, but yeah, it's a quick one. I might forget some decks. Number 10, Altergeist. Number 9, Thunder Dragon, because I banned some of my favorite cards. Number 8, Orchest, because I also banned some of my favorite cards. Number 7, Name of Engine here, Synchron variant at the moment. Those decks are just so annoying. Number 6, an Emancipator, because they lost their identity and they're now just a generic Link spam deck, which is so boring and I'm already getting over that. Oh boy, how such a fun archetype was ruined. My number 5 is Pendulum Magician, because you could probably take a sleep during their turn. Number 4, Ritual Beast, because you could definitely go and sleep during their turn. Their sole win condition is winning in time. Number 3 is Invoked. Why is this deck still a thing? It's so annoying, and when I decided to go to Duel Links to get away from Invoked, I ran into more Invoked. Just everywhere, and I hate it. Number 2 is Shadow. I literally quit the game for 6 or 7 months. Because of Shadow, I really despise this deck. Shadow Windan should just go, just ban it, just ban every card with Shadow. I hate Shadow, screw Shadow. Number 1 is Melfi. I think the art is ugly, I think they're in general not interesting and they're just annoying. As I already mentioned earlier in this video. What are some cartoons, animes you watch besides Yu-Gi-Oh? Cartoons, I don't really watch many at the moment. I grew up with Cartoon Network stuff, just like others, so stuff like Ed, Edd and Eddy is something I enjoyed. I also really liked Avatar, and I think I will likely rewatch it soon. The guy with the arrow on the head, not the blue alien guys. And for anime, I've watched plenty. I'm currently watching JoJo's. Some of the favorite ones I have watched, since I've watched too many to list at the moment, are Fate Zero, Code GS, Rosario Vampire, and Re:Zero. What is your sign? My regular one is Leo, and apparently my Chinese zodiac is a Fire Ox. Which probably explains why I use Fire Fox. It's only one letter difference. Are you by any chance a WWE fan? I actually used to be, not anymore. But I got into the WWE just a month or two before Edge retired, as I bought one of the SmackDown vs Raw games and I really enjoyed it. So I decided to check out the real thing. Yeah, so Edge ended up being my favorite, and then a month or two later he suddenly retired, which really sucked. I kept being into WWE for a while after that. I was really big CM Punk fan during the so-called Summer of Punk. If you watched WWE back then, you know what Summer of Punk was. And after that, I watched here and there once in a while. Was a huge Seth Rollins fan for a while. But after a while, I just grew disinterested into WWE. I just stopped watching it. Sorry for spamming with so many questions. Congrats on 2K. All the support for you. No problem. Appreciate it. Thanks for the questions. The amount is fine as long as not everyone starts asking this many questions, you know. Your future dad, Bob. What's your opinion on Duel Links and the new Yu-Gi-Oh game, Link Evolution? Will you ever cover them? Duel Links is alright, I guess, but it has too many issues for me to really consider it worth playing. Konami honestly is just way too greedy. There are like no rewards for being one of the top players. Like, if you win King of Games, you get like 5 packs or something like that. Maybe 10, it's basically nothing. And when you win one of those bigger events, the KC Cup I believe they're called, the rewards are still like non-existent. Like at that point you should just receive an entire booster box in game or something, but yeah, the rewards you get are absolutely horrible. Honestly, the Card for the Vanguard game is just so much superior in so many ways. Konami really dropped a ball in comparison. As for Link Evolution, that game is honestly just a scam. I can't recommend it to anyone. It's an awful game, feels like it came out in like 2005 or something and had the power of chaos. Even the 2009, 2010 and 2011 DS games were way better. Alfixer asked, can you subscribe to me and do you like anime? No, I don't think I will. And anime is alright. I already talked about some of the ones I like. Triangle Pants. Taking any more suggestions? I got dozens of ideas. I mean, I always listen to suggestions, you can always just comment them somewhere. But I don't always create decks that are suggested, if that makes sense. I mean, I consider them, but I never promise that I will actually do them. Team Yadalocked. How many hours do you sleep while uploading to your replay videos daily? Show me the way. I actually did 3 a day for a while. Now I just do 1 video a day. Anyways, I sleep between 6 or 7 hours on average, sometimes less, rarely more. Salim Ogizan Bakir. What do you think about people that pay hundreds of dollars for Yu-Gi-Oh cards or even thousands for some of the meta decks? I already answered your comment on my community post in my video earlier on. But yeah, I just think it's stupid. Especially with meta cards. Why would you even play Yu-Gi-Oh meta? I mean, the rewards and price support are just so bad. It's just not worth the investment in both money and time. Either just go play poker or get it something like an esport. Spend your time on something that can actually develop into something. The second Yu-Gi-Oh dies, your skills and money is wasted. But Yu-Gi-Oh isn't dying, we don't know. We aren't Konami, they only released the sales number of Yu-Gi-Oh and Duel Links combined now, so we really don't know. Agronian TV. What is your least favorite summoning method and why? The extra deck mechanics, pendulums or rituals? Pendulums for sure. They aren't really generic, so it's just a few decks that could really use them, and the ones that use them mostly were annoying. Besides for metal foes, but those were an exception. And the summoning method made the game just way more confusing for no reason at all. Pendulums honestly were a mistake, they shouldn't have been made. At least Master Rule 4 balanced them a bit and fixed them. What's your favorite movie? Good question actually. It's probably the Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift. I watched it plenty of times. I am a weeaboo and I really like racing games and stuff, so yeah. Do you have any siblings? Well, I have a brother, but I don't really talk to him anymore or consider him family due to some shit that happened a while ago. Now that you've gotten your degree, what's your dream job? I'm gonna start another study in a few months actually, so. It's called Media and Communication. I don't really have any dream jobs or anything like that, honestly. So, Red Eyes Juggalo. If you had the ability to make a new archetype, what would you base it on and what would the intended playstyle be? Well, I already talked and mentioned Future High, so there's that. I will probably make the custom card battle segment I mentioned before a segment on the channel. Something that will recur and that will be like a once in a while thing. But besides Future High, there are 3 things I might base future archetypes on. The Arcanas, the tarot cards, the Arcana Force and Prophecy were also based on them. The 7 Deadly Sins, I think they could make for a great archetype. If I'm not mistaken, Amorphage were just based on them, but they just became some boring Pendulum deck. 2 uninteresting things combined, yeah. And the Yakuza, I think the Yakuza somehow in a comedic way could make for a fun archetype. So I think those could be some interesting archetypes if executed well. So next up we have MT, who asked, first of all, hi, how are you? Hi, I'm doing fine at the moment, thanks for asking. I'm about to make and eat dinner in a few minutes, then I'll edit this video and publish it. In general, I'm just enjoying myself at the moment, playing some great video games like Tekken 7 and Yakuza 0 at the moment. My question is, why did you start Yugioh? I mean, it was mostly a mainstream thing in my country, everyone did it pretty much when I was young. And did you try another card game? If yes, what are them? I tried plenty of them, honestly. Magic the Gathering, Cardfight Vanguard, Infinity War, Pokemon, Hearthstone and Legends of Runeterra are some of the names I can think of. Why Infinity is your favorite deck? I really liked Kiryu, aka Kalin, in Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. I really like their unique gimmick as well, playing with no hand. Their designs are really cool and they have a lot of options and playstyles. And no single duel is ever truly the same. Even I still keep running into new combos and options. Javier, if I pronounced that correctly, probably not. I've tried to learn Infinity and your builds help a lot. Also, what could a side deck look like for this type of deck that does not cards in its hand? Glad to hear it. Mostly cards to break boards, honestly. Going first is not an issue, going second is the big issue. Lightning Storm isn't even a debate, it's a must. You must run 3 Lightning Storm in your extra deck, in your side deck if you want to be competitive. And so is evenly matched. It's also 3 of, since you don't really need to OTK, you can just break a board and then do your thing, Impermanence is also a solid option, so you can also just, use it as a regular trap, so it's not like you can just... It's not like you draw it and you can't use it, okay, now you have a hand trap stuck in your hand that you need to get rid of. And of course, cards to break the Mystic Mind Lock. Something like Cosmic Cyclone is also a must. You're never gonna know when you're gonna run into such a deck. So Twister is an option, but it's not as great as it sounds. I mean, yeah, discarding Infinity plays with no hands, woo, but, Cosmic is probably better. MT also asked, by the way, can you do Infinity Burning Abyss? Can I do it? Like, am I able to? Can I? Probably. Will I do it? No. I don't think I will. Anyways, those are all the questions. If I skipped out on your question, sorry. I don't think I missed any though. But yeah, YouTube comment section sometimes is a bit awkward, so I might miss it. Anyways, hope you guys liked this. This was a long video and it took a while to record. Hope it will be doable with editing and stuff. This will be on the upload today. From tomorrow on, the regular replays will, go as scheduled. Also, one announcement, I will not be at home when the furniture gets revealed, so I'll probably do a quick review on the go. But yeah, my builds will take a while. There will be a delay before I start uploading those. Hope you guys understand. See you guys next time. Stars Yugioh signing out.